Pythagorean theorem and its converse. The Pythagorean theorem is where we square the legs and add them together, and they will equal the hypotenuse squared. So, for instance, a squared plus b squared, a and b meaning our legs, equals c squared, and c is our hypotenuse. Pythagorean triple is a set of whole numbers a, b, and c that satisfy a squared plus b squared, which equals c squared. So some examples would be 3, 4, 5, 8, 15, 17, 5, 12, 13, and 7, 24, and 25. So those are 4 examples that would satisfy our Pythagorean theorem. The converse of the Pythagorean theorem states that if the square of the length of one side of a triangle is equal to the sum of the squares of the lengths of the other two sides, then the triangle is a right triangle. So what the converse of the Pythagorean theorem is stating is that if you know one side, if you square it, meaning the hypotenuse, if you square the hypotenuse and it equals the other two legs squared, then it's going to end up being a right triangle with a 90-degree angle. So let's put the Pythagorean theorem to test with one of our examples. It says that Leslie used the diagram to compute the distance from Ferris to Dunlap to Butte. How much shorter is the distance directly from Ferris to Butte than the distance Leslie found? So she found from Ferris to Dunlap is 60 miles and Dunlap to Butte is 63. So she's saying, using that, she's going to be going 123 miles. So we want to find a shorter route. So we want to find the distance from Ferris to Butte, which is the hypotenuse. So if we look at our squares, 60 squared is 3,600. 63 squared is 3,969. And so using this Pythagorean theorem, we know if we add our two legs together, they're going to equal whatever our hypotenuse is squared. So 3,600 plus 3,969, that adds up to be 7,569. So to find just the length, we want to take the square root, and that's going to be 87. So the distance from Ferris to Butte is just 87 miles. So to find how much shorter she's traveling, we're going to subtract 87 from the 123. So it's going to be 36 miles shorter to go from Ferris to Butte. Let's look at our next example. Find the leg of the short side. So we want to find this. So if we look at our squares, 21 squared is 441. 27 squared is 729. So we know that our two legs have to add together to equal the hypotenuse squared. So if we subtract 441 to both sides, we get that this square is going to have to equal 288. So to find the length, then, since we know what the square is, we square root both sides. And we're rounding to the nearest hundredth. So A equals 16.97. Okay, let's look at the back side. Theorem 8.3 states that if the square of the length of the longest side of a triangle is greater than the sum of the squares of the length of the other two sides, the triangle's obtuse. So it's saying that these two legs, A and B, and we have our hypotenuse at C. So it's saying if C squared is bigger than A squared plus B squared, it's going to be obtuse. It's going to be an angle that's bigger than 90 degrees. If C squared in this case, so here's our C, A, and B, if C squared is smaller than A squared plus B squared, it's going to be acute. So let's take a look at these three examples. If you find three side lengths to form a right triangle and you decrease the length of the longest side, so that means we have a right triangle, which means our longest side equals the two short sides added together when we square them all. If we decrease the length of the longest side, so if we decrease the hypotenuse, it's going to make it shorter, so that means it's going to be acute, because the hypotenuse squared is smaller. Look at these last two examples. Which triangle could have the lengths of 11, 60, and 61? Meaning this, it could be acute, obtuse, or right. So if we square all these, we do 11 squared is 121, 60 squared is 3,600, and 61 squared is 3,721. We know that this one has to be our hypotenuse because it's bigger, and we add them together. So when we add those two together, we get 3,721 equals 3,721. So since these do equal each other, we have a right triangle. So if we do the same process, if we square all three sides, 4 squared is 16, 6 squared is 36, and 7 squared is 49. We add our two short legs together. 16 plus 36 is 52. Since our hypotenuse is 49, it is smaller than 52, and since our hypotenuse is smaller, it's an acute triangle.